So we are live. We have Who's Your Cold Cases here again. Thank you, man, for being here
Hey, thank
again.
you for having me. And I'm so sorry I spaced last night. I fell asleep early but I'm glad we can do this today. And there's a
That's
verdict. Crazy enough.
we have a verdict. So you fall asleep yesterday. That's unacceptable, man.
I know.
You're
Sorry.
you're
50
you're,
lashings.
you're becoming old. So yeah, we have a verdict. What are your feelings? How do you feel about that?
I'm honestly in shock still. Um so you know, I've always been okay with being wrong. I can't rectify certain things in my mind, and maybe we'll get that information now that the trial's over, and maybe the answers will come that will make it all make sense to me. Um, I also didn't think I was definitely wrong about how the verdict would come back. I really thought they would say not guilty or even a hung jury, but they full on guilty. So what about you? You shocked by it?
A little bit shocked. I was expecting really a hung jury. I was telling during the whole process that the jurors were really smart people. They were asking excellent questions, like
For sure.
a very critical thinking jury, So today I cannot say that because the verdict is what I wasn't expecting, that the jury is not smart. For sure, they were smart, exceptional jurors. And yeah, I was a little bit surprised, let's say. I'm not going to say shocked, but surprised. I was expecting really a hung jury here. I think there's still a lot of doors that are open. To me, in my opinion, the state was not able to close all the doors, a lot of questions to be answered yet. So that's my feeling so far.
And like I'm feel exactly the same. So, but people that are out here, they're vindicated in the guilty verdict, and they can move on with their lives, right? As long as you don't have anything gnawing at the back of your mind, things that aren't, you know, doubt, I guess, really is what that is. And I sat down the other night and I really, really, really tried to convince myself that he was guilty. And I couldn't sleep. It wouldn't let me sleep. There's these weird things. But I'm not on the jury, so it doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah, it's hard to put yourself in the mind of a juror. We don't know what exactly they saw, uh, pictures, images. There's a lot of
Well,
psychological aspects there at the time to
the
take a decision.
reactions of the testimony, the reactions of Richard Allen, they were looking at every bit of that, and that's stuff we couldn't see by not being there. So
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that there's gonna be an appeal
I think they're
soon?
going to try for sure. I don't know how long appeals take. Probably a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I think the defense, they have all the elements on the table to have a successful appeal, but I have the tendency to be wrong. So let's say, but yeah, there were a lot of mistakes in this in this
You know,
case. So let's see.
this case was very, very difficult to know one way or the other, honestly. The and I think the longer you've paid attention to this case, the harder it is to really work it all out, because we went, like dude, even the stuff that Doug Rice told us in the very beginning, he was speaking directly to direct witnesses and reporting back to the community what they said, Riley specifically. And
Yeah,
then years later, she testified differently than what she told Doug Rice, and it's infuriating, honestly. And even with the different like Brad Weber, you know, he said different things now than he did back then. So who knows?
Yeah, there were like a lot of contradictory statements, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to know the whole story one day.
Probably not.
Probably not.
There's gonna be so many made-for-TV movies about this, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Something that sticks with me a lot is let's just say we all agree that he did this. Okay, let's just start at that point. He started murdering at the age of 42 or whatever. Like, that's insane. That will be studied for a millennia, because it's such a deviation outside of how horrific murders like this work. And they need to go back through his life and look for it, you know, from the premise that he is 100% guilty. We all agree on it. They need to go back through his life and look for other problems. Because nobody starts out like this.
Yeah,
but we also did find out it was a little more of a disorganized scene and overall thing. You know, the timeline was so incredibly tight for this to happen, with all the people that were out there. Like Dave McCain was taking pictures out at the bridge, but he didn't hear people or see people, which you can very clearly, if you stand on that bridge, see that entire area and over, not really over towards the crime scene. There's too much like just trees and sticks, but that you can see a lot. And it blows my mind he didn't take any pictures with them in it, and or didn't see or hear any of it. And
who knows what is in those pictures, because he said that law enforcement never returned to him the pictures. So that gives you like food for suspicion, you know. Yeah, I agree with you. If you were a juror, let's say, knowing what you know, for sure we don't know what the juror exactly knew during the process in that courtroom, what would be your, maybe it's a rhetorical question, but what would be your verdict or your vote?
Honestly, because I've been following this case so long, I probably can't put myself in that mindset. They came into this fresh and clean and only got the information that was presented to them during these 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, right.
And then I'm sure they discussed it among each other and brought up points that they could remember, or we learned that some of them were taking notes. But I bet what it came down to most probably is his voice, because humans aren't smart by design. We find patterns where there's not patterns. It could be his voice, but like, I like forensic evidence, and not opinionated forensic evidence like bullet comparison. But I work in computer forensics, and it's literally ones and zeros, where everything's logged and with timestamps and things like that. So data that supports real forensic would have convinced me easier either direction. His phone was never brought up, the one he had in 2017, as far as didn't they do a geofence warrant and get all that data? Why couldn't they have picked his out and gotten some kind of data? Did he get any text messages? Text messages, as we know from Ron Logan, contain geolocation data, very precise, or at least somewhat precise. But like, if he got a text message at 5 o'clock or 2:30 or 3 o'clock, you know, that puts him at home or still out the bridge, these kind of things. But Maybe there just wasn't any data,
That's really interesting. Yeah, the lack of phone bothers me because we know that a lot of answers are there in the data from that cell phone, and I
well,
understand
and
your point.
it is odd that that's the only phone they couldn't find. I mean, that looks guilty, regardless of the truth.
Yeah, this is. I think the two main elements that are really suspicious for me are the lack of cell phone and the lack of alibi. We don't know exactly what is behind those
True.
two elements. The rest of the things is really inconclusive, in my opinion, and is not like the responsibility of the defense to provide that information. Let's say to demonstrate that he is
I
innocent,
agree.
but
In our
it
mind,
bothers me.
we still
Exactly.
want them to prove that he didn't do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they didn't have the data to do that. Only bits of doubt, it seems like. And calling the question like Dr. Walla, so when you're weighing like opposing data, it's important to then look at credentials and it's an appeal to authority, but at the same time when you're presenting, especially in psychology, because it's such a nuanced practice, it's not necessarily a pseudoscience because we are humans and we're predictable, but like it is it's really hard to replicate precise conditions within a human, right? So we know it's effective, we know it works, we know there's prescriptions and things like that help people to live a life daily and things like that. That's repeatable data. But when it comes down to opinion on psychosis or faking, the one doctor used industry standardized questionnaires, tests, multiple, to make the determination. Everybody else was like, he's fine. But and then Dr. Walla was in all the groups. Like, can you imagine you're like a big fan of, let's just say, Gray Hughes for fun? Because she was. And then, so you watch him and his theory for the past, for 6 years or whatever. And then you're like, oh shit, this guy is at my prison. I'm gonna talk to him about this case and I'm gonna get the inside knowledge. And it's like that temptation alone makes her invalid. But
yeah, to me, her credibility is on the floor. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there are weird things. As you were saying, she was following Gray Hughes, and I don't know if you saw that post or that comment from Gray Hughes years ago saying that you're gonna say that at one point Richard Allen is gonna say that he saw a van, something like that. I don't know if you saw that post. So it's weird.
I'm very familiar with who Holman calls and talks to, and it's interesting. I don't blame them. The defense was doing it too. Prosecution, state was doing it too, because public perception has power. But anyway,
I wouldn't discard that Dr. Walla was feeding information to Richard Allen.
I think she was leading him. I think it's possible. I should say that.
Yeah, possible. I would say probable.
It's unfortunate that, sometimes it's hard. Well, just like what happened with Mitch Westerman, right? Your professionalism and your personal interests, even though, when we look upon other people doing it, sometimes in those moments, it's like, well, goddamn, it gets gray in there and people do stupid shit without bad intentions, but ultimately it is disastrous.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Uh, to me, there are a lot of elements in this case that points to multiple actors. I really don't think that this was made by one person. Two different type of weapons, two different type of disposition of the bodies, two sketches. I don't know. What do you think about that? I really think that this is not a one person situation here.
so this is fascinating. Richard Allen is a witness as well. So when he says things, can we trust his word for word if we don't trust the other witnesses word for word? Right? So when you look at the oddities that are also similar between all three of the witnesses, they're not describing Richard Allen. And even from different age ranges, because Betsy Blair was, I think, about 60 at the time. And then you have the girls at the Freedom Bridge who were teenagers, right?
Mhm.
And children, teenagers. And they all kind of agreed on that 20 to 30 age range. But we can
Yeah,
only trust what supports our theory. Everyone knows that. That's true, Ivy. I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, the jurors were there. They were allowed to ask the questions that they had, and they did. And so
100%. What about saying hello to the guys here in the chat?
I would
Who's it?
love to. A
So
lot of cool people in here.
Digital's here. Hello, Digital. Nice to have you here. Hybrid Pieces. Kate B, one of the usual suspects here. Lipsha, Canadian Nanaka. Simon Wright. You know that Simon Wright was the first guest in my channel?
Really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's a nice guy. Ivy Rose. Hi, Cryptex, HCC, chat. Lipsha, they didn't have all the information. The defense was not allowed to show up.
Yeah, you know, I all the third party defense stuff. Uh, man, I don't know. We
I
didn't
was,
have access to all of that either.
I'm so frustrated to know to who had the opportunity to listen to Keegan Klein, to Chadwell. I was thinking, oh, if we are able to listen to the testimony of those guys, that would be awesome, man.
The interrogation videos. That's what we really need. What's that channel that does all of
Ah,
those?
yeah,
Can't wait for that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
me too. Holman and Richard Allen in that small room is gonna be something, right?
that one will be millions of views. So somebody needs to get it.
It's gonna come for sure. All on the prowl. How are you? USA Libertarian. Where is everyone? Cryptex and HCC is Motsi TV. Keys.
It's okay. Everybody's live right now. So
Yeah, everybody's live, man. I guess it's mayhem in YouTube for sure.
yeah, I understand.
Digital ask, can the judge gag the jury? Is that what has happened?
I think until sentencing, no one can talk.
Not even the family, huh?
I don't know. I assume so. I think everybody has to wait till December would make the most sense, but just to let everything calm down, probably
Yeah, for sure.
before they start doing book deals and TV shows and stuff.
Documentaries.
Yeah.
All of the prowl is asking, in my opinion, a few of the jurors needed convincing. That's why it took a while.
Yeah.
I just wonder what they needed from the evidence to sway them.
Great question.
Yeah, very good.
We'll
Excellent.
probably find out on Montel Williams here in about a month or a couple months. Is Montel still around?
When we talk about questions that we're never gonna get the answer to, what about this arrangement of sticks over a pool of blood that was found at the crime scene. So people say that the sticks were an attempt to conceal the bodies, but what about this? This was an attempt to conceal the blood. It doesn't make sense.
Three sticks to conceal a pool of blood. I don't know, bro. This shit's gonna nag me in my depths of my mind for years, probably. Unfortunately, I don't know, and I don't think anybody will ever know. You know, if Richard Allen, my whole thing about the confessions, the van thing, for some people that was extremely damning. Game over. And even myself at first, until we learned that it was in the Discovery and Dr. Walla, and then I became doubtful about it. I don't know.
I'm not sure it was in the Discovery.
And then I started going down this Tipman Group is a building contractor company that had cameras on the property while they built Indiana Packers cold storage facility. And the camera faced 650 that's the road that turns into the private drive for the Webbers. So coming from Lafayette or any direction other than directly east, you would turn past Indiana Packers, go up 650, and would have passed that. And Minivan Traveler had done a bunch of videos on it. He did a good job. But his videos are gone as far as I know. He has a new channel where he does a lot less stuff, Delphi related. And the videos are gone. I thought about emailing the Tipman Group and seeing if we could get them, but really the law enforcement should have done that because Brad Weber's vehicle is on those recordings. It had to be, because that's the way he had to have gone to get home. And so what time did it cross that camera could tell a lot. That kind of correlation between data is the kind of stuff I've been looking for to really feel at ease with a guilt or innocence. But we don't really have any of that. And it sucks. It's really bad. Now, when the transcripts come out and maybe we get some more details that, Andrea Burkhart couldn't write down fast enough or something, maybe there's something in there,
Let's see. It's interesting. When you talk about videos, let's talk about the BG video and audio. You were talking about audio also. We know that there were like some enhancements, interpolation processes, stabilization. Since that video and that audio was kind of altered, let's say, at the end, it's something that we can use to compare, or it's gonna be an extrapolation of the reality. You know what I mean? Maybe the final result is not representative of the original scenario, let's say.
I agree, because they used technology to fill in bits of data, but also think about how many times each of us looked at a new suspect and said, that looks just fucking like Bridge Guy.
Yeah.
And then when Richard Allen came, sure enough, everybody said that looked exactly like him too. And I was like, I can't trust my eyes, because I've thought that Bridge Guy looked like several other people. And so I can't use that as a determining factor in my own weight of guilt or innocence. And then the voice also, there's problems with, such a small sample of voice, guys down the hill. Those 4 words aren't enough to really listen to and then listen to a dude talk. But I was watching somebody's live, and there's this guy Teddy, and he kind of came on the case, and he said that he started out, in this sphere of the case, YouTube, thinking that he was innocent, and then he started going to the trial and listening, and it was neat to hear his experience with this case, changing his mind while at the trial. And I think I value that kind of input because I don't know if anybody else changed their mind while attending. And I feel like Andrea Burkhart not necessarily changed her mind, but went from fence sitting to like, oh no. And then maybe a little bit back, like we all do, you know.
Yeah.
We
Certainly, Gray Hughes didn't change his mind.
no, nothing can. It's fine.
There are like two trends in this community. There's one trend that says that this case is simple, and people are trying to make the case complex, more complex than it is. Other trend, like let's say me, I think this case is really complex. I don't know, what do you think about that? Or it's just as simple as there was one guy, he decided to kill the girls, and that's it, that's all.
I don't know. We don't have fingerprints. We don't have blood. You know, we have like mixed DNA or something that they can't trace down. There's maybe technology will catch up. You know, a lot of people are exonerated. I'm looking at a list that Google AI assembled for me of wrongful convictions in Indiana. And it happens all the time, and people confess all the time, and it's really strange phenomenon. It really, really is. When I listened to the recounting of Richard Allen's confessions, I heard like a general, it was just too generic for 60 or however many there were. All of them were generic except for a van that we just so happen can't corroborate. And he changed his story. Like, I hate that, but that was enough for some people to be like, oh, the fact that he even mentioned the van is enough. But he got like the order of operations wrong with the rest of it. But again, Richard Allen is just an eyewitness himself recounting these things, and it's hard to trust eyewitnesses. So like, and especially when they're in psychosis or on Halidol or man, some of those drugs will absolutely fuck you up. And they didn't know what to do with him, I think. And so they had him in like a hood. They had him, you know, a cowl over his head, like shocking him and shit. It's insane.
Yeah, this is crazy, man.
There was this one guy that Bob interviewed. I don't know if you saw it, but he was a former corrections officer. And he's like, I've never seen people treated like that before. He was asked.
Who was that guy?
So he was just, he came to the trial. Defense Diaries was like interviewing people outside.
Yeah, Bob Mota.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. What do you think about the earphone situation? That the possibility that an earphone was plugged to the cell phone. Some people makes fun of that. I think that is a
dude. It's hard. That's hard forensic data. That data doesn't lie.
I agree.
And they easily, though, could have corroborated the evidence with also including the wet sensor that every iPhone ever has inside of it. Because, you know, when it comes in damaged, they're like, is this our fault or your fault? They check the wet dry sensor or whatever. So something, they could have added something to just correlate it more. But and the prosecution didn't bother with bringing in an expert to say no, that didn't happen.
Yeah, they didn't bother to investigate further, at least to discard that possibility, right?
So in a way, the jury almost agreed that that was done by one of the girls still alive, though slowly dying.
Oh, shit.
Right? I mean, because Because if Richard Allen did this and he was gone by the time the state said, then it had to be one of the girls that plugged it in. But did they have headphones? Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And 2 hours after Bridge Guy left, then some water or dirt got into the phone 2 hours later, and then got out of the plug 5 hours later. Like, this is all insane to me.
Yeah, I don't buy that, but who knows? It's really sad that law enforcement they didn't go further to just at least to discard that couldn't happen, let's say. But no, they were doing a Google search the same day of the testimony. That's just insane. It's crazy. Yeah?
They still decided to find him guilty. I imagine it was the confessions. Something that took me aback is how many people believed he did it simply because he said he did. Like, before we knew about the van comment, even. And I think that reflected in the jury as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you talk about the confessions and the transcripts, I hope we're going to have those transcripts soon, let's say. I try to analyze every single word and sentence, and there was one sentence that stayed in my mind. He said that I did all by myself alone. To me, that
why say that?
Richard Allen.
Like, that sounds prompted, or at least he had been discussed, or like, you know, or maybe while during his interrogation somewhere, someone was like, "Who did you do this with?" Or remember they called him the organizer or some shit weird like that. Holman did.
The organizer? I don't remember.
Yes.
That. Holy shit, man.
So they really thought up until very recently that there were more people involved as well. What was the data that led them away from the Kleins? Because they were really wanted or really thought this was the Kleins based on what Kegan had told them, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But what did they figure out? What piece of data changed their mind, and then just one person did it? I would like to know that too, but we may never know that either.
Yeah, me too, 100%.
Am I satisfied about the verdict? I can't. I'd like to be. I'd like to move on with my life in my mind about this case, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll just be able to say, "Hey, they found him guilty. That's it." You know, it's not like I have any way or like nothing that I do is going to help an appeal or people like courts don't give a shit about social media except for when it benefits them in some way, you know, trying to get rid of their opponents.
What do you think about I have a lapsus here. Sorry. I have a lapsus. Anyway, I don't know if I said that before or not. You know, the hashtag justice for Abby and Libby. Sometimes I feel like this is like a slogan that some creators use to reinforce their narrative and to discard or disrespect other ideas from other sides.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody here in this community is for Abby and Libby. You cannot own that hashtag just for you, you know? And that is really, really sad in my opinion.
We really are all here for the same purpose. I just want to be sure. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care about being wrong or right or anything. We're literally all just taking guesses because none of us were able to look at all of the evidence.
And this community is very polarized, right? There's like the pro Allen side. There's like a middle spectrum, let's say, but it's really small.
There's
And
like one or two, but eventually they get radicalized and beat to death. So
what do you think is gonna happen now in the community? The pro Allen side is gonna go in
I
a
hope,
war.
you know
What
what, the pro Allen side, they can go on and keep fighting the good fight that they believe they're doing. Everyone who thought he was guilty should move on with their lives and go do something else because you're done, right?
Yeah, exactly. They are opening the champagne bottle today, so I think it's gonna be over for them.
I don't know. I don't understand this. Like, there's this weird thing about people who wanted to be right and ended up being right, and then they have to gloat about it, and it's like, I'm glad you feel good about the verdict today and that justice was done. And I also hope it was. I do. We all
Yeah,
do.
yeah, 100%, man. What do you think it was the strongest point of the state in this case?
It was all pretty weak in my mind, but it had to be the van and then Brad Weber coming in and acting like a psycho. But he was adamant. He was home at 2:30, and that was the most, I think, the most powerful.
I was expecting to have some data from the ATM machines, maybe.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that the defense was able to look into that. But this is hard data, as you say.
I feel like neither side had much corroborating data. Like everybody just had little bits all over the place, and they painted very blurry. It's a blurry story.
Yeah, I agree. Before going live, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, if Richard Allen would have said, "Yeah, I slipped on the embankment going up," why didn't anybody, when he was freely giving out the I did it, why didn't anybody dig and like ask him, "Oh yeah, well, what did you use? You know, how did you do that? Did you do this or that? Or like, how did you cross the creek?" Walla, especially. I'm sure she did, but at the same time, like, record that shit or something. Like, why do we have, why was nothing actually a bombshell at any point?
We had a bombshell. The earphone connection, to me, that was a
I mean,
bombshell.
that's a bombshell too, but like all the pro prosecution people and the jury apparently meant nothing to them.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know, man. Before going live, we were talking about the FBI. Sorry, my dog is barking.
I don't know.
Um, we know that the FBI was kicked off at one point of this investigation. You were
Like,
saying that maybe the federals are potentially coming in the future.
so there are cases where the feds step in, arrest the real offender, and release the person that local government uh, tried and found guilty. And it happens. It does happen. But maybe everybody's just satisfied. They kicked off the FBI. There should have been, I would think there would be agreement between agencies. It seems like maybe they couldn't ever come to an agreement on who it was, but then they kicked him off before they had the Richard Allen file in a mysterious box in a drawer found by Shankmeister, with a note on it that said cleared. And what a strange thing. So weird.
Yeah, Weird. Do you, before going with my question, you have a question in the chat from Luis.
She want to know. I must have missed it. Oh,
Hey.
am I satisfied with the verdict? No, but I can't. What, you know, I don't matter. The people who did matter, who could see all of the evidence and ask all of the questions, they were satisfied. So it is what it is. Like, I'm okay with being wrong, and I mean, we just have to. We're going to hear about this case for years, I'm sure, on many different levels, and then, you know, we'll see. We just have to be patient and see what happens.
We have Steve from True Crime Web.
Steve's amazing.
Steve is one of the prosecution creators that is really elegant, decent. I love Steve, man.
Steve's the real deal. Like, and his heart is ginormous. And I love that he retired and made a foundation and helps families. That's the best.
Yeah, he's awesome. He says that while I respect the jury's findings and agree with it, the public deserves better from law enforcement and their investigations. I think this is one of the lessons learned here in this case. Huh? At least for the future victims, I hope that law enforcement is gonna do a better job in the future.
Indiana does not have a good track record with solving murders, as I've said too many times. They need to take funding and put it in the right places. Better training, better pay. Our local officers actually make pretty good starting, something like $78K starting out. Their testing is really strict, and then, like, they've been really good here locally in Lafayette, but, you know, not everywhere in Indiana, obviously, with real low solved numbers. Maybe better facilities, better funding altogether. And we need to prioritize as a state where money needs to go. All of our roads are always under construction.
Yeah,
the official Indiana flower is the construction cone. There's roads that are thousands of years old, and they have like volcanic ash in the concrete mix and stuff, and it creates like a self-healing with the limestone and shit. Why? We have material sciences. We have artificial intelligence who has advanced us in material sciences. We can make a better concrete that can last longer. Anyway, that's enough of my rant and the way Indiana spends money. But yeah.
We have done here. Thank you for the compliment, man. Do you think in this case, at the end, there is doubt or there is reasonable doubt? There's like a fine line there.
I have reasonable doubt. I can't control what anybody else has. And hopefully my doubt gets rectified by information as it comes out.
Hello. He was being weird.
You bringing me the demon? Here, yeah. I got a special guest.
Yeah, you cool.
Hold on a second.
Ooh, that's nice, man. I saw it in Twitter. What's his name or her name?
I'm muted. Sorry. His name's Camper.
Camper?
He was very sweet and cute forever, and now he's kind of a nightmare because he's hit that age where he just wants to cause trouble. So I'm gonna let him.
It's just like you.
Yeah.
How old is he?
Mine's a lifelong pursuit. I think he'll chill out and just sleep on the bed and eat the gourmet food I feed him. But
it's beautiful. How is Zola?
Zola is 50 pounds. She turns 5 months old in 5 days.
Oh, wow, already.
She's huge.
She better stop eating, man.
She's very bitey.
Oh yeah.
And her paws are still bigger, like to her. She's gonna be ginormous. Yeah, she bites all of us a lot. But you know, puppies are puppies, and you just gotta. Yeah, she's ginormous, Ivy. It's nuts.
Cool, man. People are talking about Brad Weber. You already said a couple of things about him. Uh, what was that picture that was shown to the juror, like some sticks in the garage? What was that about?
Cut sticks in his garage in a pile that
In a
look
pile.
similar to the ones. I mean, sticks look like sticks, of course, but yeah.
What do you think about what do you think about that move? It was a smart move from the defense, or kind of cheesy? I don't know.
At first, you'd be like, "Oh my god," and then you think about it a little while, and you're like, "No, this is kind of a stretch."
Yeah.
They couldn't do the defense they wanted to do. I just wish, all in all, there would have been more hard data, and we heard a lot of attorneys say, "I can't believe this case even went to trial with as little data as there was," but it was enough. So
Yeah, it was. And I think that there were a couple of things that were like kind of forced by the defense also. Richard Allen entering with a Bible.
I
I
thought
don't
that
know.
was a bad mistake.
Yeah.
That's weird. In like showing people, no, don't stop that. Don't do that anymore. It's
It was a bad move.
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Dan, for the super chat. And yeah, guys, hit the like, subscribe. We have a VIP guest today. So, do you wa- do you want to go to the chat a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
We had Necessary Evil, another creator here in this community. The state, I feel, could done one or more things that just add a bit more to their case.
Yeah.
Are you able to control the comments? Maybe you can read it yourself if you want.
I can read them and see them and comment in your chat, but I can't like throw them up or anything.
Okay. I'm gonna let you read it.
All right. Prove Alan the guy in he video. That's all Hay had to do. Let me interpret this real quick. All they had to do was prove that Alan was the guy in the video. But did they do that though? It was probably something benign, like something small. They had some really smart people on there. Maybe it was just like the totality of the evidence was enough to convince them. You know, all of it, probably all of it. The thing is like the first day you go hard. I don't feel Nick McLeland did. The defense are seasoned lawyers, and they came out swinging. McLeland like gave a very gentle overview, and then the state did their thing, and then it like the tide turned at one point, and everybody was like, "Oh no, that dude got railroaded," and then it rolled back. So it's super fascinating. We'll I don't know. Hopefully, some of the jurors get on TV shows and whatnot and can explain their thought process at some point. That'd be really fascinating to get to see.
Do you think that there is possible that there were some people waiting for the girls or meeting the girls at the other side of the bridge?
Anything's possible, honestly. Because what do we really know? these little things pop up. Like Sarah Carbaugh said there was a girl in a pink sweater and bridge guy, like right there. She drove past both of them. Where the hell's that girl in a pink sweater, and why hasn't she come forward? Why couldn't they find her? Why are there still people that were out there that have never been identified? Like even 20 or 30 people that were out there that day, which we've heard all kinds of numbers, 70, 90 people out there that day or whatever. We don't know. But did they really talk to all those people and track them all down? I don't know.
Yeah, good point. Kate says the defense said Richard's phone data would prove.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, it's not a lie. I don't know. Maybe it is.
It's a good question, huh?
I don't remember how they phrased it clearly enough. Is that did they say his phone data would?
I don't remember either. I
See,
remember that everything was done by 2:15. I don't remember either. I don't know. But it's a good question. We have to check on that for sure. We know that the defense.
It's because Riley Voorhees, when she testified, and also back when she gave an interview very early on, she said she saw Bridge Guy at 2:15 p.m.
And so it was not related to cell phone data.
Right. She saw him. It was witness account. She saw him at 2:15 at the Freedom Bridge. That was her testimony. So, yeah, maybe you'll be off a few minutes or more, like a whole hour. Like, I don't, 30 minutes, like it's a 20-minute walk there, I guess, probably from the Freedom Bridge. You could do it in 20 minutes, walking with a purpose. And
yeah,
I don't know, man.
We know that the defense, they were not able to bring third party actors like Keegan, etc., Ron Logan. In the past, you were very suspicious about Ron Logan's involvement here. Do you still have some feelings about that?
Yeah, because of the location data. He was in the area of the trails. He was in the area of the bodies. No one has sufficiently explained that away or proved otherwise with like a newer extraction or new use of axiom or celebrate from taking that original extraction and doing another run through the software or anything. We don't know how accurate it would still hold today or anything. So yeah, I'm curious about that for certain. There were just a lot of people out there, and we never heard from Daniel Pearson. I would have thought something, because they went under the bridge, right, or whatever, down the trail. And
I think that Skip Jansen was not sleeping, waiting for Daniel Pearson's statement.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. No, me too. I was
curious to hear his testimony on the stand, what he'd say. I never was a DP did it person, but the theory basically was exactly Richard Allen. It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
The Kleins, one of my closest friends, like the Kleins made sense. And they even, their own words put them there. Like for every argument, there are multiple offenders. Like even Elvis Fields, he put himself there at the time and day, wearing similar clothes. He admitted to spitting on the girls. Like all these arguments I hear over and over for Richard Allen also apply to the Kleins. They also apply to Greeno even, and they also apply to, Elvis
Yeah.
Field. So
I'm gonna die with the Kleins in my mind, man. I'm sure inside that they were connected, and I'm very repetitive here, and I know I say that the same thing every time, but that Wabash River search to me was the evidence that the Kleins were connected here. Richard Allen was arrested just after that interrogatory of Keegan Klein at the Grissom Air Force Base. The whole story about the Keegan and his father waiting in a car. The red jeep could be like a red herring, let's say. I don't know, man. So we know that Tony Klein is gonna be, at least Keegan is in jail, in prison, right?
Right.
Let's say he was involved. Okay, he's gonna pay 43 years in prison, let's say. But Tony, no penalty for him. I don't know. There's a lot of tentacles here that I hope we're gonna know more details about some.
I was actually shocked to that when they revealed the Google searches, there was no pornography mentioned at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird. And then this was a sexually motivated crime. They took all of his devices and never found pornography on any of them. Nothing weird enough for them to mention it. Dude, every porn video on the internet is named something weird. So like, oh, help me, stepbrother, I'm stuck in this fridge. And it's like, what the fuck? And that's just the nature of the industry at this point. So if they would have found any of that, they would have definitely presented that as evidence against him, right?
Yeah, 100%, man.
So I don't know what to think, but it could be as simple as I've been following this case too long and I just am wrong, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Dan says, I said the same, Hoosier. That is bizarre and couldn't be true. No stepmom in oven? What do you mean? No stepmom in oven?
And I know Dan was upset there was no midget porn either, but yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man.
That's his favorite. So
yeah,
no kink shaming. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I hope like the psychology side of criminal behavior is gonna study this. Like, what if he decided to just, hey, get a news person in here and he just laid it all out what he did and then killed himself or something? Like, there's still an infinite possibility of the weirdness of this case. Unfortunately, we didn't really get answers.
No, maybe we have more questions than before.
I do, but yeah.
What is coming in your channel, man?
I'm deleting it all, brother.
No.
I want to get back to like Jamie Jo Tate. Is a case out of Indy. She's still missing. Amaya Robertson is still missing, but her parents were found guilty a little bit. There's a little bit there. I want to get back into looking into that. There's like a bunch of cold cases in Indiana. I'd like to go over, especially the burger chef murders, I think is my next. I'm just kidding.
Cool. But you're gonna continue making content about Delphi, I guess so. It's like in your heart, no? Or not?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
No.
this case has had its attention. You know, if something comes up and I can add value to the conversation, I'll do it. But if not, then I don't, you know, I don't see the point for myself. There's plenty of other cases like the Flora 4 that need attention. And let's get that one done now. Okay, let's get that one solved. Let's all move our eyes over to there, and not in an adversarial way. Let's, you know, because we all have different audiences, we can do that. You know, you're not in Indiana, so like us Indiana creators, you know, we've gained a lot of subs. I'm at 4,600. Like, that's insane to me.
4,600?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
46. No, I was thinking about the 46,000. No, but
Oh, no.
4,600 is
I don't go live enough. There was somebody that hit like 100,000, like from like a few, I don't know. There's been some huge jumps in subs. So it's our responsibility to take that and use that to help get lesser known cases out there ultimately.
Yeah, for sure, man. I have a new hobby. I'm doing a tier list.
I saw your movie tier list, your horror movie tier list.
No, serial killing movies.
Yeah. The one I was shocked I didn't see on there was Red Dragon.
Because the first one was there, the Silence of the Lambs. So
okay. Well, that one, yeah. But
yeah, you're right.
There's two different Red Dragons. The original's even weird and like, but yeah. Silence of the Lambs is the gold standard, of course. But yeah.
The new one is gonna be about horror movies, and if you want to, we can do it together. What do you think?
Yeah, if you want to, man. I love movies.
Yeah. I have Josh the Posh, new member. Thank you so much for becoming a member. So, man, I think I don't know if you have some final thoughts about that, or
I don't have resolution in my heart, but maybe it'll come. Okay, and if you don't out there, it's okay. If you do, I'm happy for you, genuinely, and I hope it's right. I do. I don't want an innocent man put in that situation, and I don't want a killer free out walking around where others could be harmed.
For sure.
The original Red Dragon, yeah, Mindhunter. Yeah,
Mindhunter was like the prequel of the Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
And then there was the Red Dragon, like I think it was the second or the third one in the.
Well, but in the books, in Thomas Harriet, Harris. Thank you, Thomas Harris books, and went Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal. I read them all. He's a really great writer.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And then he has one, Black Sunday, that was about a terrorist attack at a football stadium. That one was really good too.
Black Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, I take note.
It's the only book he didn't write about Hannibal Lecter.
Ah, cool. And maybe we can do also science fiction, Blade Runner, Alien.
Okay.
Something like that.
I have some controversial takes there.
Yeah? How so?
I loved Prometheus.
Me too.
The remake, or like the trilogy, they never finished the third one, which I was really sad about, because it was the origin story of the aliens was really cool to me. But yeah, let's do it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Say hello to Zola and to your cats, man. And it was a pleasure as usual.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Maybe before ending the chat, I'm going to read some of your comments here. Necessary Evil. Lecter was the old guy that helped Johnny Knoxville. Yeah, no, that saga of the Hannibal Lecter was awesome. And what do you think about the TV show Hannibal? That was awesome too. It was like at the same level of the of the silence of the lamps in terms of quality, in my opinion. I don't know, guys. What do you think? And do you like the tier list I'm making recently? Maybe we can do something like that with some creators like HCC. That's gonna be cool. USA Libertarian. Law enforcement didn't double check a guy who claimed to be at the actual crime scene, and you call that just good cheating? Yeah, there's a lot of answers to be solved, to be fixed, but anyway, apparently it's like a case closed. Let's see if there's gonna be an appeal here, guys. Most probably, I think so. Done. Hannibal, the series was phenomenal. I loved it. That was really awesome. More sinister, if you ask me. Yeah, more darker. Sorry, for sure. So, guys, I'm gonna end the live here. Thank you so much for your presence as usual, and stay in touch. See you guys. Ciao.